Okay, so I delayed on making this video for almost a week now. It seems like this is becoming a bit of a habit. But basically, I haven't been able to find the full fight for Byron Rojas versus Hekkie Budler. This was a very big fight at 105 pounds for Hekkie Budler's WBA minimum weight super championship. Of course, Knockout CP Freshmart holds the regular version of the title. And Hekkie Budler going up against Byron Rojas was a 25 to 1 favorite. Rojas was a 25 to 1 underdog to actually beat Butler, and he wound up pulling it off with unanimous decision scores of 115 to 113 for all three judges. Basically, the way Rojas did it was Butler has, kind of a slick shoulder rolling type style. He kind of rolls in and out. He rolls on the inside, kind of hits you with a good two piece, rolls outside, and then kind of skips away on his feet. He's very good at changing levels, very good at moving his torso and his head, but using his legs and bending his knees in order to kind of just maneuver on all different kinds of fashions in order to make it so that his opponent has a tough time of hitting him. But see what Byron Ross did that was able to allow him to catch Butler repeatedly was he would throw a lot of feints, he would jump inside, and then he would start throwing combinations. And so while Butler was trying to defend all of that, he really wasn't getting his own shots off, and he was getting hit by like the 3, 4, 5 parts of the combination, where Rojas was able to kind of feint him into the position where he needed him to be in order to land his shots cleanly. He did a really good job after the second round and the fifth round in particular, where Butler just looked really fatigued after those rounds in particular, because Butler normally likes to set kind of a more of a slow boxing type of pace. He wants to make it a very technical pot shotting type fight. He'll land a one shot, a one piece, a 1-2 piece, a 1-2-3, and then he's looking to get out and avoid getting hit altogether. Of course, in his last fight with Simpiwe Konko, Konko was able to open up a nice big cut over Butler's eye early, and Butler bled throughout the fight, so it made that fight a bit tougher than his previous fights had been. In this fight, that cut didn't open up until I believe it was the seventh or the eighth round where that cut finally opened up from repeated blows that Rojas was landing on Butler. A lot of the left hooks to the head in particular. He would mount up left hooks to the body and then the head, and he was catching Butler pretty nicely as the fight went about. In particular, in the 10th round, he had Butler pretty badly hurt with a couple of nicely placed overhand rights. It's like he hit Butler with a left hook to the body. Butler kind of inched down to try to avoid the follow up, and then after a couple missed shots, Rojas managed to hit him with two overhand rights up high on the temple. That even though Butler was able to roll him and make it so that they didn't land super clean, it seemed like just the overall fatigue of working and having to maneuver constantly and still getting hit, and then the bleeding, it just took its toll on Butler and really sapped his stamina really, really badly. I mean, it seemed like in general he wasn't able to really find his rhythm in this fight in particular, compared to other fights where he wasn't able to really set up a boxing rhythm. It's like the pace was really pushed on him. It was almost a little bit like of a Maidana Floyd 1 type of a fight where Rojas was just pressuring him and he just hit him with so much volume that Butler was forced to react constantly, consistently, and it just that just the mental energy of trying to anticipate where all that's coming from, it will tire you out. On top of the fact that he was moving about and trying to set up his normal boxing pace, set up distance and everything. And so I mean Rojas just went in there, he controlled the action, and I thought the fight was pretty close. I think I could have given Rojas maybe one or two more rounds, but Butler made a lot of the rounds close. Even though he was getting outworked and out punched, he was still landing plenty of his own good pot shots, as he usually does. But I think the toll really showed on their faces at the end of the fight too. Butler's face was pretty marked up, pretty bruised up and bloody, and Rojas's face, he looked close to as fresh as he had when he started the fight. Just a little bit exhausted and everything, but didn't necessarily show a lot of facial damage anyway. And Butler isn't necessarily really a tremendous body puncher, so there shouldn't have been too much damage down there. But I mean, this was a huge upset, probably potential upset of the year, considering Rojas was a 25 to 1 underdog. I'm not sure if they might have a rematch clause. That's entirely possible because Butler's become a little bit of a big name in South Africa where this fight took place down in his home country, and there's a good chance that there might have been a rematch clause. And I know Butler had been in talks to possibly come over and fight in the United States. He had been wanting to make the crossover and everything, but it looks like those plans have been put on hold. Who knows if they might have a rematch between these two, or I mean the WBA. I'm not sure exactly how they're going about making their unification between their super interim and regular titles, but if they happen to do that, then Byron Rojas would have to defend his title against Knockout CB Freshman in order to consolidate that. So that would be an excellent fight as well. And also another great fight that would be out there on the horizon would be Rojas versus the other top contender, Ray Loreto. Loreto is a very, very good fighter. He scored a brilliant knockout victory of Nkosonati Joyi, who was actually the guy that Butler himself won his world title against. Loreto knocked Joyi out after Joyi had already been dethroned by Butler. But I mean, any one of those guys is a great fight. Rojas is a great action fighter. He's fun to watch. Those punches and bunches, good technique, good style, and I mean he was really defensively very good himself. I mean, Butler wasn't able to land as pinpoint accurate as he normally is able to with Rojas. He kept his good high guard. He moves around pretty well, and even as he's throwing his punches, he's moving his body, kind of contorting it in ways that allows him to be a little bit more defensively responsible and not get hit so flush as a lot of offensive fighters will be prone to do. But I mean, this was a great fight. I'm gonna put a highlight reel in the description for this fight, and I'm also going to put the little press release type thing. It's like the one of the channels from Nicaragua actually did a little bit of looks like a half an hour long feature about the parade that Byron Rojas came back to as a returning, or not as a returning, but I mean as a returning new champion for Nicaragua. Placing himself alongside Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez as one of their top fighters and top athletes. Really, a lot of people underestimate the fact that boxing is just such a worldwide sport still, and in a lot of these countries, when you become a world champion boxer, you are the man. Like, you are amongst the elite of their top athletes and top celebrities from any of these countries, because it's like a lot of their other sports in some of these countries, they're not really able to prove themselves on a global scale in the way that boxers are able to do. And that's pretty much what Rojas did. He went to South Africa against the South African fighter and took the title from him. He took it right from him, and did an excellent job in doing so. I mean, kind of like the way that Gonzalez had done in Japan against not just Yutaka Nida for his first championship, but also against Akira Higashi for the current belt that he holds, the WBC flyweight and lineal flyweight championships. So, big props to Byron Rojas. Check out the links that I'll leave. One of them is the parade, and there's a lot of people that showed up to see their new champion, their new home country hero, and also the highlight reel. Highlight reel shows some pretty good action, gives a pretty good summary in about 7 minutes of what was a fun action-packed fight. So check it out, and I'll hit you guys on the next.